This is the original esport racing game. This is iRacing.
The high-speed straights of Monza and Watkins Glen are a stark contrast to today's circuit. Detroit's Belle Isle will feel minuscule and cramped compared to the prior two rounds and might cause many of the drivers to groan at the approaching difficulty. Indeed, this car was certainly made to stretch its legs out and let that Ford-Cosworth roar, so it should prove a handful on these rough streets. Will iRacing's most punishing street track trip up our championship leaders? We'll find out soon as we get ready to watch round 3 of the Lotus 49 Grand Prix Legend Series. And you'll see it all live here on the global SimRacing channel and the iRacing Esports Network. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is multi-time Grand Prix Legends champion Mick Claridge. Behind the scenes is our director Sean Crackers Ambrose, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Mick, it didn't take long for this track to climb the list of most challenging circuits on the iRacing service. What is it about this place that causes drivers to have such a tough time?
Hi, Joe. Joe, there's bumps everywhere around this place, and they're right where you don't want them to be. They all seem to be on the exits of the corners or the entries. It's horrible. Trying to put down 400 horsepower on tyres that could do 2 or 3 races is going to be so tough for the guys. Watch out for turn 8 braking zone. Turning, downshifting, braking, Lotus 49. That's not a good combo. Then we've got the walls surrounding the whole track. The front of this car can take a whack, Joe, but the back of this car is weaker than the Hulk on Christmas morning, mate. The key's not going to be able to be fast here. You've got to be millimetre perfect. So let's jump in the GSRC Lotus 49 for a lap, see how it's done.
All right, we've got Ben Zilko in the GSRC Lotus 49, so let's do a lap around Detroit. Turn 1 is going to be very tricky for the drivers, with the car coming in somewhat unsettled by the final kink. It's also not much of a passing zone unless you really surprise your opponent, and that's risky. Finding the power off of the crest of 2 is going to be extra difficult, so be careful. As we fly down towards turn 3, this is where you'll see the majority of overtakes attempted, but it'll be incredibly easy to outbrake yourself, and smart drivers will take the escape road. There's just so little room to try and run wide at the exit. Then you're chucked right into 4, which is wider than you'd expect, but still not ideal for side-by-side racing. 5 is a little off camber and tightens on the exit, making it a trouble zone for getting into the wall, especially if a car gets to the inside of you. 6 is one of the most critical corners on the circuit, and it throws you a curveball with a crest on the entry. Hesitating on the power out of here will put you at a disadvantage down the backstretch. But anyone who gets into a battle at this part of the track is rolling the dice. The gentle curves, the bumps, and the tricky braking for 7 make it very easy to get tangled up with someone. Now we head into the fountain section, and you'll find very little opportunity to fully get on the power through here. In fact, I'd advise against trying to go too wide at any point through this sequence. It eventually culminates in one of the slowest turns on the track, 11. It also has some of the nastiest bumps right where you're trying to get to the power. The final few turns will test your guts because 12, 13, and 14 are all medium or high-speed corners with no runoff and no tires. It's just bare concrete wall ready to gobble up your suspension. The final kink in particular still needs a bit of a lift to get through, but hopefully you've kept it together and have now finished a lap around Detroit. You see a lap around Detroit from on board the Lotus 49. But let's take a quick glance at the points before we get to the qualifying that's going to be taking place in just a moment. Starting with the F1 points, this is sort of the pro level. It is a tie up at the top because Rob Olenek managed to take the win last week compared to Sightfegger, who got the win in the first round at Monza. Gary Teal, a good finish, as well as Ian Haycox jumping up 2 positions. But it is Daniel Sadro who really has climbed up 3 spots just with his finish last week. In fact, that puts him in a tie for that 4th spot with Ian Haycox, who has certainly found his feet in this car lately. I mentioned they have the pro standings. They have an amateur championship, what they call the F2 Driver Championships. Mick, what is that looking like right now?
Yeah, the F2 Championship's looking good for David Rossi's 44 points. Marlon Williams is behind him at 38. I don't think Marlon's here today, so he's going to have trouble catching David there through the season if he's not here. Luke Carl, he's here, so he's running on 28 points at the moment. Julio Colin is down 24. And Nicholas Morelli, he's here as well, I think. He's on 20, so it's still tight at the top. Top five are looking good. It's going to be a good season for this F2 battle, I think.
Certainly expect it to be tight like we saw last season. Let's look at the Constructors' Championship. They do this by nation like they did in 1967, appropriately. Of course, just like we saw with only those 2 rounds, Austria and the U.S. tied up at the top. Price and Haycox have been contributing for the UK. And then don't forget Germany. Lukel now contributing over there with Pawlowski also there in 4th. Pawlowski was a part of a different country. I'll have to check on that. But Australia jumps down 1 position because of Lukel also coming in and joining in this season. So we also have some race details, just in case we have viewers who've never seen the Lotus 49 Grand Prix Legend Series before. Mick, what's today going to entail?
Well, it's round 3 of 12, Joe. There's 2 little drips by that number. That means there's 2 drop weeks going on. Race distance is 21 laps today, and the setups are open. That doesn't mean you can change anyone else's setups. It means you can change your own. And they're going to have to today, you know, getting over these bumps and the curbs and keeping the car nice and easy is going to be key. And as you can see there, the points pay out to 25th. So looking at the grid, everyone's going to be in points today. So that's looking good.
Absolutely. Still a relatively large field, especially on a tiny track like this. That could cause some problems. Once again, you're watching on the iRacing Esports Network. Make sure and subscribe when you get an opportunity. All you got to do is go to either their YouTube page, or if you just go below this video on YouTube, where you're hopefully watching, you'll see a big red button that says subscribe. Click that. You won't miss a moment here on IBSN. And qualifying, Ben Zocco has the provisional pole ahead of Rob Olenek. I'm a bit surprised at this. Mick has been apparently having problems after his second lap there coming into turn 1.
Nice spin there. Yeah, Ben, man, on pole. That's a shake-up. I like that.
Certainly is, as we watch the rest of the drivers try to finish their second lap right now. In fact, some of them trying to get their first lap in. You see Eric Lukel just coming around, who you mentioned, coming to take his first one, as we are watching Rob coming around to finish his second one. Let's see if he can go faster. He's got about half a second to make up on the Australian.
And he really lost it. He really lost it in the second from last corner there.
Oh, he does find time.
Oh, he's not. Yeah, Ben's still quicker though.
Wow. 1/4 of a 1/10 of a second between Rob Olenek and Ben Zocco. We've got a good fight on our hands. Roman Pawlowski in 3rd spot, about 3/10 back. So he's going to be on the inside of that second row. And Gary Teal, who we were talking about in warm-up, Mick, is looking pretty good. He'll be on row 2.
That looks like a good battle to come with Marco Kika.
Ooh, that's a good point. Yeah, Marco Kika in there. I see now provisionally in 5th place. Just a couple more drivers that we're waiting on. Lukel, one of them in the last 2 minutes, looking to set his first lap. Coming through one of the tighter and slower sections here in the fountain sections. Usually that's a worry in other cars. This car known for being a little bit slow in tight corners. Is it easier to handle?
It's not, Joe. No, like I said in the build-up, there's so many bumps and stuff, and they all seem to be in the wrong places. So, like, when you're coming out these exits, these second gear exits, the car's got so much power, it just breaks the rears loose. And you have to be so careful. You can end up all over the place on the track on the exits here.
Ooh, look at how much counter steering Lukel's having to do as we ride on board him as well. But that's good enough for 14th place. Looks like Pascal coming around, and he's going to try and improve on this 8th place. Actually, he's finished his 2 laps, so it looks like he is done. See Andrew Ang trying to complete his lap. Oh, but he blinked out. He must have had a connection issue, so both of his laps not going to count. That's not good for Andrew, who will start at the back of the field.
Yeah, that's not good for the F2 championship for him as well, is it? Oh, he's blinking all over the place, yeah. That's not to do with the Bathurst 1000 that's going on.
Yeah, thankfully not, as we had issues like that about a year ago. It might have been during the Bathurst race, even at Bathurst, that I remember the Lotus 49 race was taking place. Thankfully, I don't think we're having those sort of problems as we watch Eric work his way around. 20 seconds, is that enough time to get to the finish line here?
Yeah, I don't think he's going to make it.
About 15 seconds left just out of the fountain section. I think you're right. As he comes through the final few corners of 12 and 13, that certainly is going to finish the qualifying for him as he smacks the wall out of there. That'll certainly be a problem zone as the race goes on. Let's go through your starting order.
I was just going to say the same. Yeah, I was just going to say the same there, Joe. It is going to be tough there.
We'll certainly have time to discuss that. Ben Zocco, as we mentioned, on the pole today with Rob Olenek in P2. Roman Pawlowski will be starting in third. Then it's Gary Teal, who managed to get himself into fourth. Marco Kika, P5 today. Bill Tyler, sixth place for him. Not bad for the New Yorker. David Rossi managing to get it up into seventh with Pascal Tremblay in P8. Then it's Brian Molitor starting in ninth. Johnny Bell will round out the top 10. Mick?
Looking at Andres Bruno in 11th place there. Nicholas Morelli in 12th. Colin Coker, the Aussie, I hope he's doing the Bathurst after this, in 13th. Eric Luco, the German, 14th. Don Good, great to see him on the grid again, 15th. Aaron Kurtz at 16th. Julian Colin, F2 driver, in 17th. Philippe Urquhart, he's down quite low for 18th. Colin Bentley, Andrew Eng in 20th, no time.
Then the last two are Azriel Nasli and Robert Reynolds. From Urquhart on back, they all have not managed to put times in as the last of the drivers are now gridding up. Bit of a curved start there, so it could be tough for some of those drivers to get on the throttle once we get the green flag. Just a couple seconds left here as we're just waiting on Gary Teal to find his way to the grid. Really hope he doesn't start from the pit lane with such a good qualifying for him. It's round 3 here at Detroit in the Grand Prix Legends Series. And the lights come up as all the drivers are out on the grid. Engine starts to rev. Green flag is out. Not the best of starts from Ben Zocco. Good off the line for Olenek, but he can't get his nose in as they immediately plunge into turn 1 and 2. Is anybody going to be caught out by the hump as they come over that rise? I see a couple cars squirming. Nobody in the wall. Looking good as they come down to 3, Mick.
Yeah, side by side now. Rob's on the outside. Ben's defending. Again, Ben is a tough guy to get past, so this is going to be tough for Rob. He needs to do it quick or needs to work at it hard. You know, these guys are going to be on the limit up front here now.
Most everybody getting single file coming through the complex of 4, 5, and 6. On to the backstretch along the river. Is this car trying to break loose around these slight bends around here?
Absolutely. It even breaks loose now where Ben is now, and then they're hard on the brakes now. Rob's not going to be able to make it stick. You're going to get to about lap 2 or 3, Joe, and then the grip's going to start dropping off a bit, and you're going to see some cars sliding around. They're all over the place in that braking zone. But Ben's hanging on. Rob a little bit loose there.
And now come out of the fountain section here where you were talking about, Mick, the walls being so tight through these couple kinks that take you back to the front stretch.
You can see how much the suspension's moving on all these cars. It's just so hard to get the power down on these exits, but great lap from Ben. Well done.
It looks like we may have had a problem with Aaron Cortez towards the back, and I think for Colin maybe had a problem with Ang, as Ang has taken a tow very back of the field, so clearly something going wrong. We'll get back to that in a second and look at the replay. Up at the front, Olenek still applying a lot of pressure with about 2/10 between himself and Zocco. They've got a slight buffer to Pawlowski, but not a large one.
No, I'm just looking at the weather, Joe. 98 Fahrenheit's pretty consistent with what everyone's been practicing with. As I see Roman just get seriously sideways there. So yeah, so everyone should be used to this temperature. You know, it shouldn't be throwing up any surprises, and it's going to be interesting now to see if Rob can reel Ben in. Ben's got a slight gap here now.
Certainly does, and I did see Pawlowski have a little bit of a wiggle getting on the throttle on the backstretch, so there's evidence of what you were saying, cars having to really focus to stay with it along the river as we ride on board with Zoko. Now looking back, I think Colin Coker now has had a problem as well, as I'm seeing him towed into the pits.
Yeah, I think I saw him hit the wall earlier on.
And I know we haven't really looked much at the mid-pack here, but man, it is tight up at the front. We have an absolute train. Not just Zoko and Olenek, but now Pawlowski has reeled them in. And we can't forget about Gary Teal back there in fourth and Marco Kika rounding out our top five, all separated by 2 seconds.
Oh, there's a blown engine.
Oh.
Gary Teal. No, it's Roman. Roman's blown his engine. That would have been a downshift. Oh, that's so annoying.
Let's take a look at the replay. This was coming into turn one. I think you're right. There's just after it already smoking. That was a great heads up by him to just stay off to the side and get out of the way of everybody.
Yeah, this engine only blows on a downshift, so I can't really see what happened. But yeah, he would have downshifted too early there, or maybe missed a gear.
As we come back live, that does make a bit of a separation as Ben Zoko getting past down into the fountain section. Rob Olenek, your new leader, managed to set that up perfectly, got his nose in. Interestingly, Zoko did not defend. As we've been watching that, it sounds like Eric Lukul has managed to climb forward up 5 spots since the start of the race. That's got him up to 9th place. And we see another problem with Azriel Nazili, who seems to have taken a tow as well. So already we're seeing attrition rear its ugly head, Vic.
Yeah, we knew it would, Joe. It is just such a hard track to get around in this car as well, especially. I'm just watching Ben now. He's doing pretty well keeping up with Rob. I was expecting Rob to disappear a bit after he got in front, but yeah, Ben's doing quite well here.
Riding on board with Zoko. Now, the Australian still giving chase to Rob Olenek, who won last round at Watkins Glen, looking to get a back-to-back. Sightweger not here today, so it'd be a huge climb in points for him over his nearest rival. Behind him, Gary Teal about 1 second back. Again, he lost a little bit of a gap because of the blown engine of Pawlowski. Had to stay away from him to make sure that he doesn't run into the back of that smoking car. Marco Kika still following in his trail, about 1.2 seconds back as well. As we jump back to 6th place, Bill Tyler very closely followed by both Tremblay and Lukul.
Yeah, this is shaping up to be a real close fight. Just out of this right hand now, but just over this little bump, they've all got to get the power down nice. Lukul's taking it easy a bit there. He's nicely into the apron. Oh, he's got to slow down. I think he nearly hit the wall there. That was close.
Yeah, he looked like he came in very hot, but he managed to keep it out of the wall as they come onto the front stretch one more time. Tremblay still applying pressure to Bill Tyler as they hit the brakes for turn one. No chance there, but now they come down the run towards turn 3. This is one of the more popular spots for overtakes, Mick.
Yeah, I was just looking at the entry Pascal had there. He was a bit wide on the first turn, but he had a nice run into the second. But there's a crash there.
He got into the back of Bill, outbraked himself, and look at that. Eric Lukul sneaking through on both 2 positions in 1 turn.
Opportunist.
Let's take another look at that. Saw it happening. He was a long way back. You know, I'd almost say his mistake a little bit earlier, a couple corners ago, put him in a great position to do that because he didn't have to slow up for it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Paul Pascal. Yeah, he's just Missed it there and just run straight into the back now. That's horrible when that happens.
So as we come back live, that demotes Bill to 7th, Pascal to 8th, and Lucal now up to 6th from his 14th starting position. As we come back to the lead, Zoko may have not fought too hard for that pass a little bit earlier, but he is staying right on the gearbox of Rob Olenek. They come across the line to start lap number 6. Oh, and as Lucal's had a problem in the same corner we saw before. Coming into 12.
Oh, it looks like he hit the wall coming out of the right-hander there. That would have given him damage. And then he's understeered straight off there. That's such a shame.
Boy, he came into that way too hot. He's got to work on his braking point into that corner, because he certainly seems to be trying to push it a little too hard there. Unfortunately, it seems to have prematurely ended his raid. So take a look at 6th place. Well, even though he managed to get by both these drivers, Tyler and Tremblay, they've now re-inherited the position. Oh, and Philippe Urquhart has just taken a tow because he had something go wrong. Checking in. This is in turns 1 and 2, and oh yeah, it looks like he manages to hit the wall. Oh, another victim of the jump. Anybody who watched the IndyCar race last year knows about this turn, because he did the same thing as that Corvette pace car and unfortunately found the wall on the left-hand side.
Yeah, that's right. The famous iRacing damage model video.
We come back live. That is certainly going to hurt Philip in his fight here in the championship, as we now watch the leaders once more. Ben Zoko falling back a little bit. He's about half a second behind Olenek before. He was as close as 0.3 last we looked.
They're coming up on a back marker. They're coming up on Robert Reynolds now, so... there's a battle. Ben's nearly got him.
Olenek slow out of turn 4. A little bit of an opportunistic move, both in 5 and in 6, as Zoko tries to get his nose in. Neither one manages to work. Reynolds tries to stay out of the way and off to the side. They both zoom past as they come up to turn 8 now into the fountain section. And Olenek, nice and safe, a little bit hot into the corner, trying to fend off the attacks from Ben Zoko. Manages to make it around the corner. Things are heating up.
I'm well impressed with Ben here today. He's not normally fighting for the lead, and Rob's leading. He's always up there at the front, Rob's such a fast driver, but yeah, he's chasing him down hard now into the right-hander. How's your apex? Rob's a little bit, Ben's a little bit wide too as well. Hard on the power now, down to the start-finish line. Let's see if Ben can get this nice apex into the last turn here. Chops it off nice. Hard on the brakes. Get him turned in. Rob's missed the apex slightly there, but he's still got a good exit out the next turn. Over the bumps now, they go down the straight. Ben's chasing hard.
He is not letting him get away with this one. Oh, look at him poke to the inside once again, just getting into the mirrors of Rob Olenek. Now, in more modern cars, this track is kind of known for being really tough to pass at, which isn't uncommon for a street track, but this car has a lot longer braking zones than most modern cars. Is it a little bit easier to try and make overtakes, or is it still tough?
No, it's a lot easier just because of what you said. It's just the long braking zones that causes a lot of overlap, It's one of the reasons I joined the series in the first place, because I could see that straight away.
So we take a glance now at 8th position. This is Johnny Bell and Brian Molitor. Both of these drivers close to where they started, except Molitor has managed to come up. Let's see, actually, where did he start? Yeah, 9th position. He's about where he started, as Johnny Bell's made up 2 spots. They come down the back stretch. Bell still trying to make sure that he is well and safe into this kinked braking zone. Blind around that left-hander as they slow up. And no attempt from Molitor for this corner, but now they blow it up coming through the fountain section.
I'm just riding on board with Brian Molitor now. He's as smooth as silk with that steering wheel. He'll be really, just the tyres won't even be stressed at this sort of driving style, you know. And it could be a matter of time, you know. I've been watching Johnny Bell. He's a little bit frisky on the wheel there as you turn in. It does affect your speed when you do that in this car.
Yeah, you talked about the setup in the pre-race and how much the drivers will have to mess with that. What can you do to try and make it more compliant? Is it mostly in the suspension?
Yeah, everything's in the suspension, Joe. It's all to do with spring rates and rebounds and shock damper rates and stuff like that. You can get away with going down on your power ramp to get you off these second gear corners, but yeah, it's all in the suspension. You've got to make the car easy to get around here.
As we jump a little bit forward, David Rossi been caught by Bill Tyler, so now it is a 3-car fight for a top 5. Pascal still at the tail of that train. They spread apart on the back stretch and then accordion back together in the braking zone. Nobody close enough to attack down into here for this turn.
No, they're all looking pretty equal. As I was just riding on board with Pascal. Really nice braking into the turn 8 there. As they turn right now, just watch for the bump. It's right there. It's annoying, that little bump. And as they get on the power now, you got to pick a braking marker, turn in, make sure you hit the apex. Don't run wide because that wall just comes straight at you. Looks like Bill Tyler's got a good run here. I reckon he's going to be, if he can nail the turn 1 and turn 2 complex, he's going to be on him.
See how he handles it. A little bit more shallow into the entry compared to Rossi. Oh, this might hurt him, Mick. He's not looking strong in the first part. What about the second one?
Yeah, David Rossi was a little bit messy as well. In fact, both of them sort of did the same thing, but in different parts of the corner.
So no chance once again down into turn 3. I can report that Julia for Colin has entered the pits. He must have also taken a tow. I'm checking to see. Oh, this was also in turn 2 just recently. Maybe about 50 seconds ago. The number 19 found the outside wall, so the reverse of what we saw before. See a look at the replay. There you see the tail end of it just dragging along that concrete.
Yeah, and that's all back end. It looks like he's hit the back end there, Joe.
Took a little curve on the first corner as we watch the replay on it was wide, and that's all she wrote. And he goes.
Oh, it was the front end, wasn't it?
And that is day over. Not enough time for him to get repaired and get back out. So we come back to the battle between Johnny Bell and Brian Molitor for that 8th position. Drivers continuing to get, wow, way wide. The door opens and Johnny Bell steps through, but can he finish the job? He's got to get over that threshold. Still side by side coming through 12 and 13. Neither driver willing to give up. Look at the momentum carried by Brian Molitor, and he takes the spot back. And what's happened to Zoko? Trying to find him here. Around the replay. Oh, is this turn 4?
Oh, he lost the back end under power.
Yep, you're watching on board, and as he swings it through 4 here, he looks fine for most of the corner, then it starts to go away. Oh.
And it's so easy to do, Joe. You wouldn't believe. I can't believe more people haven't done that today. That is so easy to do. You just put your foot down just slightly too hard, just a millimetre too much, and that's all it is.
It's been
such a shame. That's just what a drive from Ben.
Yeah, it's been a long time since we've seen him take a win. To come back to this battle for 5th, I would have loved to see him at least get a podium, if nothing else, after such a magnificent drive this race. Still up ahead, David Rossi in front of Bill Tyler and Tremblay. Coming across the start-finish line. A 21-lap race. We still have quite a ways to go. Down to the inside. A bit of a surprise attack from Bill Tyler into turn 1. Doesn't pay off. David Rossi manages to fend him off.
And just imagine what's going through David's mind. He must be thinking, I know it's early on, but he's thinking of the F2 Championship. So he's got to really, be careful about this, but you want the win,
Certainly, and now up to fourth because of the problems from Zoko. These drivers continuing to pick spots off race after race. You talk about that championship. I wonder if Rossi's starting to think that I'm up to fourth. I can lose a position and still be sitting pretty here today.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, they look pretty equal coming out there. Now they're heading down the back straight, down to the turn 8 braking zone. Such a tough braking zone this is. Get it turned in. Don't take up too much curb there. Down to the fountain section and on the left. It's looking pretty equal between these three guys.
Yeah, we haven't seen much in the way of passing since we've started following this battle. Tyler and Tremblay, maybe a little bit of back and forth with Tremblay making contact earlier with Tyler. That's the damage that you see on the front of the Canadian. Round through 12 and 13, and then is 14 require any braking, or is it just lift here?
It's actually on power. Bill looks like he was getting a good run through that corner last lap, and then sort of messed up the second corner of that turn 2, and it's they still look so equal, don't they, these three guys? So I'm going to see if Bill gets a run.
Tremblay was thinking about it. He
yeah,
his nose out. They come out of 3 once more. Tight right, left, right here through 4, 5, and 6. A little bit of a crest. That's one thing that they always talk about when you watch on TV, and you don't really feel that crest in 6 until you get down in the car. And then, boy, I was surprised at how much cars understeer through that turn.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, and this car's no different. It really does. This is the tough bit of the track for me in this car. Braking, turning, and downshifting, so tough. To be able to do it for this long and in a freeway battle is really great to see.
A little bit farther down, Johnny Bell and Colin Bentley still close to one another. Where did Molitor go? Did we lose him? It was Molitor that was in there. Oh, Molitor managed to get by, and he is gone. Oh, he was ahead before. Excuse me. Yeah, he managed to fend him off successfully. And Johnny Bell must have had an issue then. He's now 4 seconds behind Molitor. At least I'm pretty sure it was Molitor who was ahead. Yeah, it was Molitor who was up in front of him before.
And Johnny Bell's just pulled a nice gap as well.
Bentley may have closed him down, but it seems like whatever mistake Bell has had, he's starting to recover now. I'm checking back real quick to see if I can find what happened. Looks like it happened quite a while ago, so we'll have to jump back to this battle for fourth. Because David Rossi, even though he's a little bit ahead of Tyler only has about a car length at times ahead of Tremblay, who's suddenly come on strong.
Yeah, Bill's looking ahead and behind here. He's under pressure, and David Rossi, I have to say, he's driving really well today to hold these two guys back and not mess up,
I've been impressed with Rossi's progress. So as this series has gone on, he continues to just make steady steps forward, it seems, in the field. Not obviously winning races or taking podiums, but it seems like every time I look down, it's like, oh, he's a top 10. Now he's a top 5. It's just admirable.
Yeah, he's got F1 driver written all over him, hasn't he?
Eventually he's going to make that status if his iRating keeps climbing. They come around to finish yet another lap. Still many more to go. They're going to be starting lap 15 for this group as they come across and into turn 1.
Nice line by Bill Tyler there. He's going to get a nice run out of this corner now. See how David hits the bumps nicely over the bumps for all 3 of them. Pascal's dropped back quite a bit now into the braking zone. That tree on the left is your brake marker. Get it turned in right. Hit a bit of the curb there. Both drivers do it nicely. Again, they're so equal, Joe. There's nothing between them, is there?
He's going to have to wait for a big mistake to really get a chance. And thus far, Rossi is not showing any sort of openings in the armor. In fact, he's looking very good through 5 as he pulled away a little bit. Now back onto the back stretch once more. And the corner exits. I wonder if that's really what's keeping Bill back. Rossi managing to get the throttle down very smoothly.
Yeah, I think you're right, Joe. He seems to be using more of the track as well. Onto the back straight there, Bill was almost in the middle of the track, so it's really affecting his line onto the back straight there. Around they go now again to this horrible right-hander with this horrible smelly bump. I hate this bump, Joe.
I didn't know bumps could be smelly. And let's stay with this battle, but just a quick mention, Teal and Kika have been getting a little bit close. We'll go to that if that starts to get any tighter. That's for second place, so that could swap our podium around. And in fact, actually, we might want to go to that anyways, because it's now down to 0.2 of a second. Kika continuing to close it on the number 2 car. So while Gary Teal hasn't been close for much of this race, Marco Kika is starting to make a bit of a competition out of things.
Yeah, and Gary was well wide going onto the back straight there, but he's got a good run. Maybe he's got a nice low power ramp. Let's see how his braking is into the right-hander at the end of the straight. They're both pretty nice. They're both pretty tidy there. Hopefully you're going to see how hard Gary is to pass now.
And they've got some lap traffic in front of them. That's Andrew Ang, who generally is pretty good about getting out of the way, but man, there is no place to hide around here.
Oh, nice bit of curb from Marco there. Too much, in fact. That's hurting quite a bit there, but nicely on the brakes for Marco now. He's caught back up into the braking zone there.
And that was Andrew Ang out of the way.
Oh, did he hit the wall there?
No, I think he just pulled it as far over as he could to try and stay out of their way. Let's watch this.
Oh, Marco. Whoa.
Wow. I don't think I've ever seen a pass in turn 2 from anybody.
It don't get no closer, does it?
Oh, my goodness. I'm not sure exactly what he was thinking there, because I don't think that would have gone off, but he managed to pull out of it in time. So Gary Teal retains second.
It wouldn't have gone off with Gary, I'll tell you that.
Absolutely.
I think it was a bit of an opportune moment. I think he saw that Gary was a bit wide and just held his line, and it just happened to turn into an overtake.
And let's continue to watch this battle, but we've got Ben Zocco in with us, who our pole sitter, who unfortunately is DNF'd early. Ben, it's a shame to be talking to you now, but you were given a run for his money on Rob Olenek there.
Yeah, it's always good to have a battle with Rob. On the rare occasions that I have a similar pace to him, it's always good to have a battle with Robbo. I'm not too disappointed because it's my first pole position in the series, so that's pretty good on GSRC broadcast anyway. And it's the nature of the beast of this track is the walls. So normally when I come to a race like this, or Bathurst, or a few others that are pretty dangerous with the walls, I usually just peg it back a few notches and make sure I finish, because no matter if you just by finishing you'll probably end up in a decent spot. But I guess I really wanted to pressure Robbo into a mistake, so I just had to keep the heat on, and yeah, it was still good fun. I sort of, from the beginning of the race, I thought I could just control the pace, which I was doing, and funnily enough, I never clipped the wall. I don't know what turn it is. The first time I clipped the wall on the inside, I never did that in any of my practice, but of course you do it in the race. And then I also felt like I could have defended that a bit harder, but I thought, it's a long race, just take it easy. And I figured the same thing would happen again to Robbo. Like, it's pretty easy to make a little mistake here, and then when he did, I wasn't able to capitalize on it. And yeah.
Sorry to interrupt you. On screen, we just saw contact between Bill Tyler and Pascal Tremblay, who's been watching this great fight for P5. They've separated now, Ben. But yeah, I mean, commiserations on this finish. It seems like this is a bit of a strong track for you, would you say? Because we were shocked to see you up on the pole.
Yeah, it must be. I don't know where the speed came from. Actually, thanks to Mick for his setup. And his little video that he did as well. That I think that helped. I don't know. Somehow I got pace around here, and I think it is about attacking those walls and trying to get as close as possible. But obviously, don't go too close because you saw what happened to me. But I ended up just losing it on the throttle, which is pretty easy to do in that spot. As I was trying to push and catch up to Robbo, but you know, I had it in the back of my head saying to myself, oh, you know, just stick with him and just play it easy. Don't try to go too hard on the throttle in any of the danger spots. It's about 5 to 7 danger spots on the track where if you get on the throttle too early, you're gonna have an incident like I did. But I didn't take my own advice, my own fault. But it was good fun up until then.
Thanks for coming and talking to us. And again, sorry to see you this early. Hopefully we'll get to talk to you next week in better circumstances.
Thanks, guys. Have a good one.
It's Ben Zocco, DNF for today. Mick, you're going to have to start withholding some information on those lap guides. It sounds like you're finding people pole positions here.
Yeah, well, that's unbelievable. Oh, there's a pass here. Bill Tyler's gone through.
Finally, the mistake that he's been waiting for on David Rossi down the backstretch. Doesn't even have to outbrake him into the corner. Outguns him off of turn 6. He might lose 2. Here comes Tremblay around the outside of 8. But that doesn't stick, so he stays behind. But now we've got Bill Tyler up to P4.
I actually missed the pass. It looks like David Rossi came out of the... he lost the back end coming out onto the back straight there. And fair play to him. He didn't block Bill as Bill went through there. So, yeah, just a little mistake there from David Rossi. I wonder if Rossi's going to see red now and go for that back.
Yeah, and he's already lost a little bit of a gap. He may have been a cork in a bottle here because Bill Tyler's pulled a big gap of about 1 second. And now he's got Tremblay already on his gearbox as they come out of turn 2.
Yeah, it's on. Oh!
Whew. Almost into his gearbox. Tremblay with a big checkup. A great heads up, but that cost some speed and an opportunity down into 3.
Yeah, David was a bit messy through the first and second corners, and Tremblay had such a brilliant run. He nailed that corner that time. I don't think he realised how fast he was going compared to Rossi there.
So we ride on board with Pascal. This has been a nice run for him, having started at 8th. He's currently in 6th, and now he's going to get another opportunity. Turn 6 looking like a weakness for David Rossi, as once again he's slow out of the corner. Tremblay down to the inside into turn 8. He's got a nose in. He's given space at the inside, but he can't carry the speed off the corner. And now David Rossi with the edge as they come into the fountain section. He fends him off for P5. And we had a change for P9, I believe. Bruno and Johnny Bell side by side, as well as Don Good fighting them for that one. Don Good with a lot of damage on that nose.
Yeah, he must have hit something there. I don't know what he's hit, but yeah, looks like a great battle now.
That settles out as we got to go back to Rossi. Oh no, we got to go to Rob Olenek, our leader, because we're coming to the final lap. Or we are on the final lap, actually. White flag is out. As he comes through the fountain section. If we could duck away for just a moment. Rossi is slow out of turn 2. And Tremblay's to the inside as he finally got this pass done. As long as he's smooth off the corner. Yes, indeed. Give Tremblay P5. And now we can get to Rob. Probably happy to not have the cameras on him to avoid that commentator's curse, as he is going to take the victory by a whole 13 seconds for his second win of the season here in Detroit. He'll still experiencing a lot of pressure here from Marco Kika for that second spot as they come around turn 14. Nice and smooth, and he's awful close, but it's too little too late. The Finn has to settle for third. How about Bill Tyler as well, managing to get himself up to P4. He's got himself a little bit of a gap over Tremblay. That early pass over Rossi has paid dividends to keep himself safe. Just outside the podium, but even still, a nice run. Tremblay just in the dying stages, managing to overtake Rossi. Maybe he was thinking of that championship as he winds up in P6. Bruno back there as well in a nice little fight. This is the one we tried to glance at earlier, but had to be pulled away because so much action was happening farther up the field. Bruno holding down 9th with good back there in 11th. Johnny Bell sandwiched between in 10th.
Yeah, it looks like Bruno's got... Oh, there's... I don't know who that was. There was a car there just crossed up right in front of... Right.
Yeah, Coker.
They're actually quite close together now over the line. Bruno's... Oh, Johnny Bell's gone really wide. Wow, he understeers into the wall there over the line.
I mean, he doesn't need that car anymore, so he used it up. It didn't pay off, unfortunately. Bell winds up in 10th. That's the last of our drivers on the lead lap. So let's take a quick break here on the Global Sim Racing channel. We'll come back with the official results as well as driver interviews. If you watch on screen, you'll see all the upcoming races here on the GSRC. Welcome back to Detroit Belle Isle Circuit. We just watched round 3 of the Grand Prix Legends Series, and Rob Olenek managed to take his second victory of the season. This will bump him well ahead of Sightbeggar, with Sightbeggar not showing up today. Gary Teal followed him home to second, but certainly had to fight for it because Marco Kika was hot on his trail all the way to the line. Look at that, less than a 10th as they crossed the line. Kika rounding out the podium. Bill Tyler as well, having to battle hard, but winds up in 4th. He was ahead of Pascal Tremblay, but the driver that they were battling at the end was David Rossi, who finished in 6th behind him. David, too, has been fighting for the F2 championship in recent seasons. Maybe thought better of risking his car and eventually had to give it up for that 6th place. Brian Molitor takes 7th. Colin Bentley, how about this one? A wreck at the very end, unfortunately, but he still climbed from 19th to 8th out of that. Andres Bruno winds up in 9th. And then Johnny Bell rounds out your top 10.
Don Good is 11th. That's a great finish for Don. And then Robert Reynolds, my favourite backmark on the service, in 12th. Brilliant. Well done, Robert. Julio for Colin in 13th. Benjamin Zoko, what a terrible end to the race. He had such pace today. That was so good to see. I'm so glad. Andrew Henk finishes 15th behind him. Then it looks like all the non-finishers. Nicholas Morelli, Philippe Urquhart, that's a bad finish. Eric Lukol for F2, that's not good. Colin Coker, even Angela Pawlowski, that's not good for Roman. Terrible finish for Roman, bless him. Arzil Narsley in 21st, and then Aaron Kurtzes in 22nd.
That rounds out our 22 car field. And first up, we're going to be talking to our winner, Rob Olenek. We got to hear the other side of the story from Zoko there, but let's hear from Rob. You were pipped to the pole. We were surprised by that, and it sounded like even Ben was a little bit caught off guard by that. Were you kind of expecting him to be strong? Did you have any indication that he would be good today?
Only about 15 minutes before the race when I was in a practice with him, and he was quick. He was definitely really quick.
He certainly was, and he gave you a run for your money. Did you kind of have a plan going in on how you wanted to attack and try to take the lead away, or is this just a on-the-fly thing that you just kind of had to grab whatever came your way?
Yeah, second choice. Finishing the race first was the first priority, not hitting a wall, which I did manage to do a little bit. I was just waiting for him to make a mistake, and any little opportunity that happened, it did. I managed to get by. He had the same thing could have happened with me. When I hit the wall, he could have gotten it. He didn't push it as hard, I don't think, to take it back.
We talked a little bit in the race and before the race with Mick about the importance of setup around this circuit. What did you do to try to make the car more compliant here and easier to manage?
All about the rear diff, getting it so controlling the turn in the steering is controllable with the throttle more than the brake. I think my set felt really good this week. I struggled with it in the beginning, but midweek I almost felt like I had a little advantage. The set felt really good. It was pretty easy to drive, and it wasn't coming around on you on throttle. It was coming out good, but not too bad.
Oh, awesome stuff. Congratulations on a second victory. This should bump you up to the lead of the points. Hopefully we'll get to talk to you some more next week for round 4.
Hopefully. See you later, guys. Thanks.
That was Rob Olenek, our winner for today. Second place went to Gary Teal. Mick is talking to him about his race.
Hello. My mate Gary, he's finally in the booth. Second place, Gary. Well done, mate. Tell us a bit about your race. Tell us about your fight with Marco there.
Once again, just like last week, as you guys said, I had a mirror full of Marco the whole race. As you can see, we're pretty close in talent level, I guess, or lack of talent level, however you want to look at it. Yeah, the race kind of worked out how I figured it would. I knew that the guys ahead of me, Rob and Angelica, and kind of a surprise with Ben there. He said he was good this week. And so I was kind of hoping I would just stick back, and with all those walls there, that somebody might have an off. I feel bad for Ben, but maybe that's the way it would happen. So I didn't pass anybody on talent. It just everybody bad luck there. Angelica's engine blowing up.
How did you get on with your setup this week, Gary? Did you watch any instructional videos or anything like that?
I usually do every week, but real life has kind of interfered this week. I think this is my first race this week, so I really haven't had a lot of time to set up those practice races. Got a little practice on that, crashed out. But apparently getting not much practice is the way to go for me.
Yeah, great to see you up there in second place, mate. Well done.
Oh.
Thanks for coming for the interview.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, I just used one of your old setups, but
Aha. See?
yeah.
There you go.
All right. Thanks, man.
Mick Claridge, ever helpful in this community. And let's, well, it looks like we're going to have to close it up. We were going to talk to Pascal, but he abandoned us. Sad to see, because I was ready to talk to him about what was some exciting battling. So, of course, a big thank you goes to the Lotus 49 community once again for bringing us back for another season of coverage, and also to iRacing for putting us on IESN. Again, when you get the opportunity, make sure and subscribe. Thanks to the companies that provide the software and the hardware for our broadcast listed here on your screen. And additional thanks to June Lalonde, who provides our wonderful music. See the screen for how to get a hold of more of her great work. Thanks to the team today. Of course, Mick, Sean, and also we have Richard Galuska helping us in the background as a spotter. And of course, always Dougie. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, including upcoming races, you can find it at globalsimracingchannel.com. We're also on social media. Our Twitter is at GSR Channel, Facebook, Global Sim Racing Channel, and Instagram, GSRC_Graham. We talked about Bathurst. Well, we're going back there. That'll be next week, Saturday, October 5th. Make sure and tune in at 9:30 a.m. Eastern to catch that one. But we also have upcoming races for other series listed on the screen, so check those out and mark them down on your calendar. Until next time, race clean, race hard. We'll see you on the track.